Hey, y'all. Is everybody having a good TusCon so far?
Yeah.
I like enthusiasm from this side.
From the people who are breathing.
Before we get started, this is, by the way, the Indie Author Insight panel. How many of y'all are indie authors yourselves? Most of you, hooray. So I'm going to have some questions for our panelists here, but then I'm going to open up the floor to all of you so you guys can ask any questions that you have. So to start us off, let's introduce ourselves. We'll start on the end with you, Mona.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mona Ventress. I am a spicy book author. I have 4 books out of my series, Lover of Mythic Proportions, which follows the same main character in her interactions with all of these gods and mythological creatures. We've been publishing since 2022. Wordsmith Industries is the name of my company, which I share with my business partner back there. Woo, woo, Susie. And yeah, it has been a learning event type of thing. So happy to share whatever I can to help.
Thomas Watson. I write mostly science fiction and fantasy, although I stray into other realms on a more regular basis as each year goes by. I've been doing the indie self-published thing since 2012. So I've got 17 books out there, most of them set in one science fiction universe. So been around for a little bit and finding it interesting, as she said, interesting and enlightening experience.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Brent Miller. I also started in 2012. So I published my first book when I was 16 through, it was a hybrid press, so I have some experience on that front. And then when I graduated from college is really when I picked up with my new series. So I have Cursed, which has 4 main books and then a bunch of like novellas, and then I have Powerless. So I'm at 14 books myself, and like others have said, I've learned quite a bit, and a lot of it the hard way. So I've actually been on a couple panels at like TusCon Comic-Con around the same topic, and I just think it's something that is really important to be able to answer these questions, because it really could have helped me when I was 16, right? So yeah,
would help me when I was 40.
I know. Well, and that's the other thing. Like the age that we start doesn't matter, right? It's just we're all coming in as a new field with knowledge that you're not going to have it just because you got older, right?
Yeah. So. And the industry is constantly changing, so
exactly.
There's always something new to learn. I'm Beth Dolgner. I write paranormal cozy mysteries and romantic urban fantasy. My current series is the Nightmare Arizona Paranormal Cozy Mysteries. Picture a tacky, touristy Wild West town like Tombstone, but with a secret supernatural community. So my first question for our authors is, we were just talking about the learning curve and how difficult it can be to be an indie author. So why did you choose being indie over traditional publishing?
That's a really good question. So one of my big problems with the current, I think it's not the big 5 anymore, isn't it like the big 8 or big 10 publishing companies
I can't keep track
that control what we read and stuff like that, is that they tend to just want to write the same carbon copy things unless it's like something really unique and really different. There are instances where they will actually buy manuscripts from people and actually not publish them because it will be in direct competition with something they have planned to publish. And all of that is just like really icky business practices to me. So I was like, I'd rather be free of that. I'd rather have complete creative control over what art goes in it, what content I put in it, and so it can be truly mine. And that was really the thing that made it different. Also, I am anti-capitalist as hell. So
DIY, very fun of you.
Exactly.
The short, flippant answer would be abject failure. I've been writing in some capacity since as far as I can remember back. I was raised by a family that considered literacy almost a religion. So writing and doing things with words and reading books has always been in my background. I spent a lot of the 80s writing nonfiction articles, freelance journalistic type things, and got serious about fiction in the 90s, and couldn't sell a short story or novel to save myself. The frustrating thing was that the editors were coming back and saying, this is pretty good stuff, but the marketing department said, no, there's no market for this. Now, there are various definitions floated about writing to market. To me, It's choosing to write something because you think it's going to sell. I have stories I got to tell, and I've got to write them whether I know they're going to sell or not, and that does not jive with traditional publishing at all these days. So I'd given up writing for several years, which really messed with my head. And then somebody introduced me to the concept of self-publishing direct to ebooks through Amazon, that sort of thing. It was like somebody threw me a life preserver, and I hit the ground running. I've been going ever since.
Yeah, I was basically going to say the same first sentence. I mean, I would be lying if I sat up here and told you that I started self-publishing because I thought that was the right way to go, right? I so I started with Cursed in 2019, and I pitched to countless agents and um, publishers and different traditional routes, and to a slew of rejection. And that said, for a long time, I thought that reflected on the quality of my work. It doesn't necessarily. It reflects on marketability. People weren't, publishers were saying werewolves were oversaturated, which firsthand I feel like I have experienced the falsehood of that statement. Um, and then, they were also saying, so everything I got back was marketability, but also it's just I'm not the right agent to represent this, and even the big names get thousands of rejections, um, but it's disheartening. So I gave up because I couldn't take the rejection anymore. But then what happened is over the years, I learned that this is where I want to be because, like what you said, I mean, my stories don't fall into a genre like that's kind of pre-described. I mean, like this is a werewolf book, but it's not a romance werewolf book. It's it's focused on the characters, and it's I've been told many times it's very unique, and then this is completely different as well. And so it gives me the artistic freedom. I'm kind of rambling here because this is a big one for me,
That's
but
okay.
the other thing is like my cover for Cursed. I did not draw this, but somebody did for me based on what I like. I like having symbolism that basically tells you where the book's going to go, but you don't realize it until later. I can do that, but you can't take my art from me. And then this one, last anecdote on this question, I promise. This book, okay. I had a publisher come up to me and ask to publish, like redo this. They said they might have to change the cover, and I'm like, no, again, symbolism. But they also told me they want to cut this in half, right? Uh, and I'm like, they're like, we could make it 2 books. So you want to make it 2 books so that there's a cliffhanger and you sell both books. But this is one story. This isn't, and there is a sequel, but the sequel's its own story. And the thing is, when you're self-published, that's all your say. And I'm probably going to make less money because if I could sell you this ebook is I think $4. If I could sell you 2 $4 ebooks, I make twice as much money. But it's for me, it's the integrity and the freedom that I have as a self-published author to guide my own art. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
That's great. I'm kind of a similar story to Thomas and Brent because my first 2 books are actually traditionally published. They are nonfiction. And actually, that was a very positive experience with my publisher, but not a whole lot of money. I still get a royalty check every 6 months. And it's kind of a joke in our household like, oh, I got to check from Schiffer. How much is it going to be for this time? Will it be a $5 whole? And then when I wrote my first series, which is my Betty Boo Ghost Hunter series, I really wanted to go the traditional publishing route, and I was lucky enough to get a great agent. She was shopping the first book around. We were getting some nibbles. And then, unfortunately, my agent had to retire due to some medical issues that she had. And I got passed to a different agent in the agency. And that agent clearly did not like my work. She was not happy about having to take it on. And she requested massive sweeping changes that it just would have completely changed the feel of the book. And it would not have been my voice anymore. And I said, yeah, I'm not okay with this. And so she and I parted ways, and I had 2 choices: to either publish it on my own or to start over again trying to find a new agent who believed in my work. And I took the leap and went the indie publishing route, and 0 regrets. I love the creative control. I love being able to publish on my schedule, and I love being able to publish what I know my readers are looking for. I think that gives me a better relationship with my readers. And it also just gives me joy to be so involved in the process. But as one, we have all said that we appreciate that control, that we like having our fingers in every aspect of the publishing process. But obviously, that makes your to-do list a whole lot longer than if you just write a manuscript and submit it to a publishing house. So other than crafting the story itself, the writing, revisions, and editing process, what in your kind of day-to-day routine takes up the most time other than that writing process?
And marketing. That's
Definitely marketing. Yeah.
We've just started really going hard on marketing with our social media. So before that, I would say it's just been the most time-consuming thing for me has just been formatting.
Yeah, formatting's hard.
Formatting takes a minute.
Formatting takes a minute. You want to make it good. You want to make it look right. There's that whole thing about orphan sentences, like when your chapter ends and there's just one line. So then you have to go back and figure out how to drop things and space things to like make sure that's not happening. Making sure that there's page numbers on the chapter start, or not page numbers on the start of the chapter, but then page numbers and that they're showing up on the right page, on the right side.
Yeah.
The first time I did that, I almost quit publishing in paperback.
No.
Because it's not such a big deal with ebooks because
Right.
the reader is going to change things for you. But man,
Yeah.
formatting.
Yeah.
I can't afford to hire anybody to do it yet, but boy, I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
I mean, I created a template.
That's
if you
what
just
I
want
did.
A template.
I've started using Atticus, and it's made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I created a lot of templates for a lot of different things, and it helps. I've considered like because writing doesn't sell, so I've considered like putting my templates out there for a couple bucks and just like but
Not a bad idea.
yeah, but no, I agree. Formatting is a lot for me. It's editing because this is something that gets me into trouble at every panel I'm on. I don't pay editors.
Sorry.
Like
I know.
Don't
We're
want
about
you
to throw hands.
Don't think.
The thing is, and I could go down a rabbit hole. I won't. But feel free to ask questions if you want more. I don't think editing is as essential as everybody else thinks it is. If you do a good job, right? Now I've been blessed. My family is incredible, so I have some of the best content editors and like proofreaders in my family who will read for me. But the fact of the matter is, if I paid somebody $3,000 every book, I don't have the funds for that, and I don't have. They could go somewhere else. But because I do all of that with my family and on my own, it becomes this cyclical kind of pattern where 6 months I'm writing, 6 months I'm editing, and I get a book out every year, and it sucks. But
you brought up something good. Do either of you use like beta readers to help find those plot holes and?
Oh yeah, I have a tendency to what's called floating furniture and floating descriptions in it, where it's just like, oh, I need a table for this scene, and poof, there's a table in the room. Haven't described it up until that moment. I also back when I was a ghostwriter, and this was like my first encounter with beta readers, where I was like, damn, you guys are nerds. I had described like a series of floors, and the way that they were connected was with stairs at the opposite end, so you had to go through each floor to like get to the next stair. And so at a certain part during a really tense moment, the beta readers were like, they can't do that because the stairs aren't there. How you describe them. And I was like, son of a, like I had to go through and rewrite another chapter or two just to like make it make sense. But yeah, I like having other people. Well, number one, I'm going to sound really crazy here. I love criticism. I am a firm believer that you can't grow if you don't know. And sometimes some people give me feedback. Like one reader was like, I didn't like that you used the word titties. And I was like, well, that's between me and my titties, not yours, right? Like sometimes I'll drop things and be like, titties. So you have to take it
Yeah.
one comment at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love having beta readers. I love that they're willing, that they love the book so much that they want me to get it right.
Yeah.
Thomas?
I couldn't help it. She's describing her situation. I suddenly had this image of the coyote running off the cliff and realizing he was in open air.
Right.
Like there's no stairs.
Yeah.
I started out when I first started self-publishing. I was unemployed, so I was not paying anybody anything. And I had good friends, various places in the country agreed to be beta readers. Made good use of the feedback they gave me, and as I was accumulating books and money started to become less and less of an issue, and I became reemployed, I've developed a two-tier thing. I have an editor that I work with. She does developmental editing for me. She can do the other forms, but I have other ways of approaching those. And I mean, the most recent book, she gave me something like a 38-page single-spaced critique, and this is for a book she liked. But of course, she also tends to tell you what she likes too, so it fills up some space. And I have two remaining beta readers who, after I do all those revisions that come out of that, I give it to them with the caveat, I don't need a critique at this point. I need to know whether you liked it as readers. Did this book engage you? If you spent $5 on it, would you be sorry? And every now and then they say, Tom,
Yes.
it's not worth $5. It doesn't happen too often anymore. I'm glad to say so. I've done it both ways, and it's like you, I've evolved a system that works for me.
Yeah.
And also, my beta readers are invaluable. And Homicide at the Haunted House, which is book 1 of my Nightmare series, I make a big point of stating that my heroine Olivia does not have a cell phone because she's like broke. She had to file for bankruptcy. She had to like get rid of everything. And then at the end, when she's in danger, she pulled out her cell phone and called the police. And one of my beta readers was like, thought she didn't have one of those. Did it appear by magic? What was this, some kind of supernatural thing? And I was like, oh no, it's just me, like, just, forgetting that not everybody has a cell phone in their pocket.
Ding, 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 continuity error.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, they find that stuff for me all the time. And I have a beta reader who's a PhD student, and she sends me her notes as if she was giving something to one of her professors. So it is like bullet points with footnotes, and I'm just like, wow, okay, but it is hyper detailed. So yeah, I definitely think you find your system and you find the people that work for you. But like you touched on, Mona, it's always important to consider the feedback before you take their advice and do the thing, because sometimes you'll have one beta reader saying, oh no, it should be this way, and another saying, no, it should be this way. And obviously, at the end of the day, you are the creator of the work, and you have to decide what's going to be best. So one thing I wanted to ask you guys, talking about having editors and working with an artist for cover design, we are so fortunate right now that we've got this entire indie author industry that is built up to support us. So we've got cover designers or people who can handle your advertising for you or do your graphics for you. What are some of the resources you have found to be invaluable in doing your job as an author?
So I have an answer to that. I real quick want to jump back to beta readers just because I have a funny anecdote that I like to always tell. But along the note of, like you said, you have to say what works for you. I had a beta reader for Cursed, and she was phenomenal. I don't have a lot of beta readers anymore, aside again from my family. It's always something I'm looking for, but people do paid services, and I'm not gonna. Not to say it's not worth it. Anyway. She sent me back notes, and the main character's name is Garrick Elliott, first last name. One of the characters, it's just a quirk. They've been friends since childhood, and he refers to him as Garrick Elliott. Always, every time, uses both names, and every time she highlighted it, and she's like, nobody does that, and I'm like, you'd think after like 40 times that she highlighted it, she would get like, oh, it's only this character doing that. I tell that story not to make fun of her because she was incredible and helped me in so many ways. It's just sometimes what you're writing doesn't land, and then you either have to say, okay, well, this quirk didn't work, or this quirk didn't work for her, but still who he is, right? And I just thought that was funny. But sorry, that was a sort of a tangent at this point. But the to answer your question, I use Fiverr for cover art. That has saved me so much. Like, I've worked with incredible people, and I'm I use the same person for each series so that there's like this continuity. Um, and yeah, I think that's a great way to connect with artists who maybe aren't um, like I like working with indie people because I'm an indie person, right? I like supporting people who are just kind of trying to make it. So it's a great way for me to interact with them. So that's what I would say. But my question, well, to the rest of the panel is, if you have found, like you said, people to help you with marketing, let me know because I haven't. Um,
Actually, I seem to have adopted two humans recently. They're fully adult, and I'm a very proud mama of them. But one of them is a zillennial, and I was like, I struggle, right? Like one of the things that I was talking for marketing, I really wanted to like push online sales more because we do our best business in person, which is great. But if I want to actually, even though I'm anti-capitalist, I live in a capitalist society. If I want to like support people, and my whole philosophy is lifting others up around me. Like I don't want to rise. I want everyone to rise. And so our artist is local. We found them. By the way, their name is M. Gowan. This is not like their traditional art. They do very dark, amazing things. Yeah. Okay. They're at Ann Gallery. If you're local, you can go check out their work, buy their pieces. It's phenomenal. And then my roommate who's the millennial, I was like, can you help me just put together real quick images for our Halloween sale? She took 30 minutes and gave me like eight little Instagrammy things, and I was like, this would have taken me 2 hours if I were just to sit here in front about it. And so like I guess to answer the question, the resources have always been just kind of like friends and people we ask, but it's also been people who like once we've like sort of sat down with them and explained the project, they've either developed a passion for it or just been like, no, it's not really for me. And I think finding people who love your work, who want to help you, is like the same way like what we do, right? I love your work, I want to help you. So also big shout out to Susie and Kayla Don, the most underpaid people in history. Um, but yeah, I love it. I love being able to work with people and like give them my vision, but see how they elevate it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah, for me, the biggest one has been the one that's made the biggest impact on me in terms of getting the books out and making it presentable to the public, which is, you can have the best marketing scheme in the world. If the books all have blank covers on, you're going nowhere. I started out making my own covers because I was unemployed. I couldn't afford to do it. And they were okay. They did the job. As soon as they were making enough money and I had a job back, day job back, I started hunting around to find cover designers, and that's an industry that has exploded with the indies. In which this is marvelous because you can go out there and find someone that's perfect for you, regardless of what you're writing. And I did that. I got very lucky. An outfit called Fiona Jade Media, and if you've gone into mostly books and looked at look for Thomas Watson, you see the cover art on those books. I get more comments about the covers than I do about the books as often as not, which is cool because I relay them to her and she's works even harder. But of all the things that I could take advantage of, that's the one that's lifted me up more prominently. I mean, I'm not making a living at this, but before I started putting those covers on there, the books didn't sell. Now they do.
Yeah, the right cover makes a huge difference. I've got two cover designers I work with, and definitely I've changed the cover on my Betty Boo series. This is the third version I've had because it's been out for over 10 years now. And this is definitely my best-selling cover so far for it. So for me, like I'm like all of us, I DIY a lot. The thing that has been saving me for formatting is Atticus, which is like, it costs like $100 and it's a lifetime subscription to the software. I haven't cried yet formatting a book with Atticus, and that says a lot about how intuitive it is to use. Because usually with formatting, I wind up having to rage quit for a little while and then come back to it. Canva, a Canva subscription, which is again like $150 a month or something. Not a month. I'm sorry, a year. Difference in budgeting.
Canva's changed its prices since last
I use Canva all the time for social media posts, for marketing graphics, for my books. it's just so much easier for me to use than something like Photoshop, which is a lot more expensive. So Canva has been great for me. And then also, I recommend if you already have kind of like your writer group who you can go to with questions and looking for advice, congratulations, because it can be hard to find your tribe of other authors. There are some great places online to talk to other indie authors and get advice. There are also some terrible places to do it. There's a lot of negativity out there where people just want to complain all day long and say, oh, it's not as great as it used to be, and oh, the golden age of indie publishing is over. Don't listen to those people, they're wrong. I recommend Facebook groups like 20 Books to 50K or Successful Indie Author. Those places tend to have a lot more positivity in them where people are willing to share advice and also just are more uplifting. Like Mona was said, it's that desire that, if one of us does well, we all do well. We're in this together. So I think it's important to kind of find your author community that you can go to looking for advice. Like I got an email one day from some company saying, hey, we're interested in turning your Nightmare series into audiobooks. And I thought, well, this is clearly a scam. Like I'm going to write them back and they're going to say, yeah, just pay us like $20,000 and we'll do it for you. So I went to my indie author communities and I was like, okay, who's heard of this company? Are they legit? Is it a real thing? Turns out, yes, totally legit. But I mean, it was easy for me to be able to turn to them and go, okay, am I about to get scammed here or is this a real thing? So we've all talked about how marketing can take up a lot of time for us. What marketing tactics are working the best for you right now?
Sorry, just
Sorry.
add in.
I totally skipped you, didn't I?
No, you said Canva. You were listing software. GIMP is free, open source.
I haven't tried that yet.
Photoshop.
Okay.
I use that for my covers. So I get the art, and then I do the words and the lettering, the spacing, and all that stuff. So I use GIMP for that, and it takes some learning, but it's a free open source material. And then also I have a Discord of local Arizona authors, which is like you were saying, that's kind of where I go for things like that. And we're always letting people in. So if you're,
I'm gonna have to get that from you before we go today. Yeah,
I know.
Susie uses GIMP too to help construct all the covers.
Yeah, GIMP is magical. It's Inkscape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vectors are important. Also, just in case any of you haven't gotten art yet and are planning to do so, make sure you get it in like the highest resolution possible. I feel like that should go without saying, but not all of us think about that. Like they should be making the art as big as possible so that when it shrinks down, all those lines are still crisp. Because like if they don't, it'll get really blurry really quick. It just won't look right. So it's also something we've learned in our journey of like art stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just a small art note.
Do you have a question?
Just you want to know, I've done formatting with OpenOffice, which is, I mean, it works really well with books, and it's again open source and free.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Good to know.
I did want to ask. You said something about Atticus.
Mm-hmm.
Can you import fonts into that?
No, they have royalty-free fonts that are available. They've vetted all of them to make sure that like you can publish the books with those fonts. Mm-hmm. But I think they have like a trial version you can look at if you want to see what they have available.
Oh yeah, no.
You can also upload like your own chapter headings and things. So if you have like custom font in your chapter headings, you can just do like
an image
PNG. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because we do like we have like 3 fonts that we paid for.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you might be able to import. Maybe that you can import. I don't know. I use their like here's our selection, but
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I was asking, but I'll check out the trial version. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, we'll start with you, Brent, on the marketing. Like, what is working best for you right now?
Oh no.
Thomas, what?
No, I did some target marketing with Facebook ads for Powerless. Cursed has never sold well online. Powerless, you have to find your audience, and so I use like Divergent meets My Hero is kind of how I describe it. I look up, I target fans of the Hunger Games and Divergent, other dystopia series, and then anime. And that one, for the first time ever with an online ad, made me more money than I put into the ad. So that was a win. It was by a couple cents, but it was a win. Then the sequel came out, and I was thinking, oh, Now, let's keep pushing powerless. Nobody bought it. And all of a sudden, Cursed is like selling like crazy. I have no idea why, what I'm doing right or wrong. That's just where we're at.
The writing gods have smiled on you. And Thomas, what about you?
To be honest, nothing has
Yeah.
stood out to the point where I'd say I'm going to keep doing it. I'm currently beginning to learn my way through Facebook because that's a venue where there's an old adage in advertising that the prospective target market has to see you 5 times before they're going to make a sale, which means investing a certain amount of time and money. Well, because that's such a huge audience, you've got a better chance of finding somebody in there. In theory, I've only recently started experimenting with that. I've seen no real results. Yeah. Although what I have seen gives me the indication that I'm going to get, I have a lot of books in Kindle Unlimited. And shortly after I started experimenting with this, I started making a point of in the ad pointing out that it's available there. Page reads on several of the books are starting to rise. And we're talking not meteoric. I mean, it's just a little bit above an asymptotic curve. So it's working. Before that, I've tried all sorts of things and, jumped through all the hoops. Everybody else is saying, yeah, this is making me money. And I'm going, talk about a crapshoot. You basically what you have to do is try anything that comes your way and see what works for you.
I just recently, like I said, started upticking marketing stuff. Before on my social medias, I was just basically like, here's the cover, here's the book, like here's a link, have fun. Recently, I did a 5-day flash sale where I dropped the prices of the ebook to 99 cents, and I just like had my little Zillennial give me a post or two every day, just reminding people that. And we kind of marketed it because this is Halloween, so we kind of marketed it to like, hey, monster lovers, got nothing to do this Halloween? Try like cozy up with a book type of a thing. And to me, my measurement of success wasn't in terms of product sold, but how many people started to follow me. Because increasing your following and making more posts and stuff like that, if you're going to be like try and get social media engagement in your stuff, is huge. So I want to say probably about 10 new followers, which is great because that means that the more I post, the more that they'll see it, the more that their friends will see it, and so forth and such on. And I did wind up selling 20 books, so I was pretty like chuffed with the whole thing. Plus, it helped me just like lower my expectations, and I feel like I'm setting up. I'm doing experimental things, right? So like Christmas is coming. I'm planning on doing another kind of like pre-Christmas sale for the actual physical book. I'm going to drop the prices down on Amazon and be like, hey, do you know somebody who's a kinky little freak? Buy my books. Give it to them. Be their best friend.
She made a point that I kind of skipped over when you're doing something in the social media. If you're not selling books, you're not seeing the pages read, but your followers are increasing. That's a big win because those are the people you're going to cycle the ad through 4 or 5 times. So somebody says, oh, I was going to buy that. I remember that. I was going to buy it. So I didn't mention it, but she nailed it. That's exactly right. If you're advertising in those kind of venues, look for that following to increase because those are your people. Those are the ones you're trying to sell the books to.
Yeah, the value that social media adds, it's work and it's putting yourself out there. And a lot of times it's grueling.
It can be a time slog, but I think you have to consider before you dive into any or all of the social media outlets, where are your readers?
Right.
What kind of is your target market? What's their age group? What social media platforms are they hanging out on? The vast majority of my readers are Facebook users, so that's where I spend most of my time is on my Facebook page. I don't have a TikTok. I don't do that because a lot of my readers are not on TikTok, so it's just not worth my time.
Whereas mine are on Instagram and I get ones on TikTok.
Right.
Like I'm hitting the younger generation.
I was to say, whereas my reader, my demographic tends to skew a little bit older. So I think the genre that you're writing in your target audience will definitely make a difference in your marketing tactics. The one thing I advise every single author to have is an author newsletter. Partly because if you have a Facebook page, that's great. And you have followers on there. But if for some reason Facebook decides to shut you down or somebody hacks your account, you lose access to all of those people. Whereas if you have a newsletter, you own that email list. You can contact those people anytime you want.
Right.
I don't recommend doing it all the time. Have a regular schedule. I send mine every 2 weeks. Or sometimes, like if I have a new release or if there's a special promotion I'm participating in, then I'll send an extra edition. But my newsletter, I can see the difference it makes when I'm having a sale or when I have a new book out. The day that my newsletter sends, my sales and page reads in Kindle Unlimited go up. I mean, my you know dedicated readers are there following along to see what's happening. And I love getting responses when readers write back and comment on something that I've said or give me feedback. I mean, that's, again, building a relationship with your readers is, it's the best feeling. It's like you have this like great big extended family. So I would, just out of curiosity. Oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
had a follow-up question for you. For your newsletter,
Uh-huh.
Because this is something that we've struggled with trying to figure out what sort of information do you put in there?
What I'm up to, like where I'm at in the writing process,
Okay.
or I'll talk about like Halloween. I had a whole thing about how Halloween is my favorite holiday, and no surprise there to anybody. I also will do a lot of swaps with other authors in my genre. So, hey, go check out this person's book. It's on sale this week for 99 cents. And then that author will do the same for me. And newsletter swaps has been
Really nice.
phenomenal for me. Yeah. And I've gotten into a lot of group promotions with authors in my genre. We promote that in each other's newsletters. And that's been invaluable for me. Yeah. And BookFunnel is the best place to go and find those swaps.
Thank you.
I haven't done anything like that. Because for me, this is what makes it hard, is that I'm kind of a unique case, I think, in that I don't read. So I
You
don't.
never learned how. Sorry. I'm sorry. Joking.
Which makes the fact that he writes books all the more amazing. Wonderkind.
But like, I'm not gonna swap newsletters and pitch somebody's book if I don't believe in it. So that makes it hard, because I can't rightly tell my readers like, hey, this is a good book, right? I don't know.
No, that's a good point. You build trust with your readership, and you want to, when you make a recommendation, to be like, well, I know this author's work. I know that I can recommend it. Yeah.
But like, my newsletter is mostly just heartfelt gratitude. I'm like, hey, here's where I'm at with Faultless. These are the cons I'm going to. Thank you for being with me. And it's, and it's genuine every time, because it's like, that's something that I never want to lose. And at first I was thinking, I'm like, I have to stay professional, right? But why? That's the beauty of being indie. I'm not professional. I get to update you. I get to talk to you. And like, I never want to be the famous author who gets mad at his fans. If my fans are asking me when the next book comes out, it's not, well, you keep asking me and I'll kill this character. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm working on it. Thank you for caring so much, right? That human touch is essential. And if you fake it, in your newsletters, it doesn't work. It's not this like, oh, let me sell books this way. But for me, it's just a way to remember, like, these are people, and those readers are the reason that I get to sit up here, right? Like, I'm not financially successful, but who cares? Because if one person reads this book and it changes their life, that's the reason I do this. So yeah, I make sure to remind them of that, like, every month.
I consider it a huge privilege to be a storyteller.
Exactly.
And I am so grateful for the people who let me tell my stories to them. So yeah. We'll go ahead and open it up. Do any of you have questions? Yes, I saw you.
So X has a pretty good author presence on it. Do any of you use X or go to X?
No.
I used to. But again, I have just found that where I was getting all the engagement was on Facebook. And so making posts on there just kind of became like talking to an empty room. And so I had to start paring down. I do Facebook and I do a little bit of Instagram, but Facebook is definitely a place for me. What about you guys?
Exactly the same experience with X back when it was Twitter. It just, I posted on a regular basis. I had after a while I said, I'm not sure this is working. So I just stopped and nothing changed. But if I ramped up my presence on Facebook, I started getting results. So I walked away from the one venue in order to focus on the other.
Yeah. Whereas I know some authors who do great on X
Well,
and get a lot of engagement.
I'm getting, I'm closing in on 3,000 followers, and I'm getting reposts coming off of my websites, book covers, blurbs, and all that. People are doing that, so I'm picking up stuff on there.
Yeah, that's
If
fantastic.
it's working for you, great.
Yeah.
I just refuse to give Elon Musk any of my time, and that includes any.
Oh,
of
I
his.
gave up long before he took it
I
over.
mean, like, of course, but like, as soon as he bought Twitter, I was like, wait for it and delete the account.
Yeah, see, as soon as he bought it, I was like, okay, hold on, make an account.
Oh wow, okay.
I love you on.
Do you get a lot of like interaction
Oh
with
no,
people
no,
on there?
no. I. Okay. It's about where we put our time. I don't ever want to say I don't have time to do something, but I have a full-time job. I write and I edit. My social media presence has suffered dramatically. I don't
Yeah.
post regularly on anything. Um, I would like to start, but it's the
It's a
question
time
is,
commitment.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do I make 3 posts today, or do I edit a chapter? And for me, it's about telling the story. And right now, because of that approach, just to be transparent, like you talk about Kindle Unlimited reads, I freak out if I see 5 pages read. Like I look at my account for the past year, it has been like flat, and then somebody bought 1 book. And I sell more in person, but even so, I mean, this is not a financial gain for me at this point. And I'm sure it would be if I managed to go reach out more, but I'm so attached to telling the stories that I'm like, I'm not going to pull myself away from this for anything.
I had
Yeah, and your books will always be there. So if in the
Right.
future you have time to promote,
Right.
then
Or if I
they're still there waiting to be promoted.
Right.
That's the beauty of it.
I
Or if I
admire
get,
your
like-
integrity.
priorities.
Priorities.
I had an acquaintance that was, berating me for. I don't have a newsletter currently. The one I tried was a disaster. It didn't. I mean, I had diminishing returns almost from the beginning, and so never went back and re-examined the concept and started working on it again. And somebody was giving me some grief a while ago about the lack of promotional effort that I'm putting into it. He said, "How are you going to make any money at this?" I said, "Well, I didn't go into it thinking I was going to make money. I did not raise that expectation."
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm breaking even more often than not, in fact, this year will be the first year in 10 that I have not broken even, pleases me no end, because it leaves me free to do. And the way I answered him essentially is, I'm a storyteller, not an entrepreneur.
Yes.
That's the choice I made. I'm here to write and tell the stories, and I consider it a privilege that people are willing to pay money to read them,
Yes.
because they're doing it in sufficient quantities that I can pay my editor and I can pay my cover designer, and it's not coming out of my limited retirement income.
And that's the thing. I dream. I mean, we all do, right? I dream of this being my full-time career, of course, but I will never do that at the expense of the story. And I'm not saying anybody on this panel is saying they would, but marketing is an essential part of doing this for a living. The fact that I don't do it well is not something that I hope any of you take away and say, oh, well, Brent thinks that I don't need to market. It's just the fact that, like, I've almost resigned to the thought of, this is going to sound really arrogant, and I don't mean for it to, but like in Powerless, I talk about some themes that I think are very important and like need to be addressed. It's kind of it's a thinly veiled entire dissertation about what's wrong with the government. That's what most dystopia is, right? And I've kind of gotten to this thing of like, well, if I can get a bunch of books out while I'm alive, and then somebody in the distant future is reading it, then I've left something here when I'm gone. I would love for the marketing to take off, but I just need to pay somebody to do it. That's where I'm at. But I think that the reason I'm publishing these books is because I believe these stories are worth telling and that they leave something valuable to this world. And I'm honored at the few people who agree. so far, and I hope that one day it's more, but I just struggle with the market. It's again not that you shouldn't. Um, yeah.
Oh, I know we have a question here that he already had his hand up, but then we'll get to you next.
This is why
What's
we
your
have
question?
the moderator.
Yeah, you use like a print on demand service like Amazon Create Space, or do you hire a separate, like one a professional printer who like send you a box of books?
I use Kindle Direct Publishing.
Me too.
Partly because all of my books are on Kindle Unlimited. It's easiest for me to have it all in one place.
So for the paper books.
Yep, they do
Yeah,
paperbacks
they
as
do it
well.
as well.
So
Yeah.
So the thing is that to do it outside of Kindle or even on Ingram, you need to have your own ISBN, and each version of the book has to have an ISBN. Your paperback has to have an ISBN. The ebook has to have an ISBN, its own unique ISBN. The hardcover has to have an ISBN. If you ever bundle books together, that has to have its own ISBN.
Special edition.
Special editions have ISBNs. Every time you basically change the book, you're going to wind up getting a new ISBN, and those can be really cost prohibitive. They do sell them in bulk. You could get like 1,500 of them. I think it's like something like $800 for like if you go that high, and not everybody has that much to spend. And then I think at the lowest, if you were just to buy one, it's like $80.
You can get a 100 bundle too.
Oh,
of ISBNs. Yeah, that's what I did.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
It is, but
you save a lot of money getting them in bulk versus individual.
yeah. We have been looking at going into Ingram because I'm about to finish the 5th book in my series, and this is a really good time for us to like try and bundle it together for the first omnibus book. And we really want to do something special. And the limitations of Kindle Direct Publishing is that they can't do very special things. Like they can't do different colored ink very well.
But it got us out there to get you started.
That's right. But it is a great and wonderful tool to get you out there and get you
Yeah.
started. You don't have to worry about those things. You can order them from Amazon. Depending on how many you order, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get to
Do you
you.
all use Kindle Direct?
Yes.
Actually, I did one book in both Ingram and in Kindle, just to compare.
Mhm.
And Ingram has made it a lot easier
Yeah. Looking
because of the demand.
their
were
prices.
so
Yeah.
clunky, it was tough to get through.
Mhm.
Kindle, I had problems with Kindle, so I'm back to Ingram.
I hear that, and I mean, like Kindle's really a fun process to navigate when you're
Yeah,
setting
and I
up
know
your
some
book.
people swear by Kindle. So,
Yeah.
and I think we're gonna get this gentleman back here, and then we will get your question. What was your question?
As far as online sales, have you found any success with any venues besides Amazon or Barnes and Noble?
So I'm actually in the process of updating my website to make direct sales easier, because that is really a growing trend in the indie author community, is to sell directly from your website. So I'm working on that. So ask me that question next year. What about you
That's a
guys?
good question.
Hey Beth, if you ever figure out how to do ebook sales direct, let me know.
Book
So
Funnel.
you have to be careful with ebook sales.
Let's chat after, because Book Funnel has a way to do that. So
Yeah,
Okay.
ebook sales direct. For me, and you mentioned all of your books are on Kindle Unlimited.
mhm.
You can't do ebook sales direct. So you just
Yeah,
have
I'm
to.
only doing paperbacks on my website.
Yeah.
You have to
because my
pull them
ebooks being
out
a
of the
Kindle
Unlimited
Unlimited, I
program.
can't sell them outside of.
I asked. No, we
I
don't
mean,
do that.
But yeah,
Unlimited
there's
I would also say Unlimited is good if you have a medium-sized author, like an audience, because like they pay you per page read.
Yeah.
And I think my first book is 189 pages on Kindle Unlimited, and so I make 18 cents on how much like for
Yeah,
if
it
somebody
doesn't pay
reads
a
the
lot.
entire. It does not pay a lot, but if you do start to get a lot of readers. I mean, again, one of the promotions I'm going to have is putting all 4 books on Kindle Unlimited for a month, and just
box
like,
sets are great for KU.
yeah. So, and then just being like, hey, read the books and leave me a review. Please leave me a review. Dear God, leave me a review. Sorry, I don't know if that answers all the questions. Please, if you also have something to add.
Nope, not at this point.
Okay. And you had a question.
Excuse me. Couple of comments. Talking about formatting, if you are all in on Amazon, I have recently discovered, or last year I discovered, that Amazon's formatting program for the paper books has improved since
Yeah.
the last time I looked at it.
Oh, good.
That's good.
And I've done my last 2 books with that. And I found it, and yeah, you can move it around a little bit, but the nice thing is it's easy to go, okay, that looks like crap, okay, I have to go back to the original next sort of thing.
Yeah.
Upload it again, okay, that looks good, okay, now I have to produce a product that looks good. And I'm not ashamed to say to put it out there.
That's something I've noticed, that Kindle direct publishing has evolved over the years so that it's becoming enormously user friendly.
And then the other thing is about talking about other venues, selling other places. My experience, I've been all in on Amazon except for about an 8 or 9 month period several years ago, and I saw a big jump in sales for the first month, and then everything flatlined on these books. I admit I did not do a good job of marketing, but on the opposing that is a very good friend of mine who writes a completely different genre. She writes rom-com, and she writes very short. She writes novellas, and she likes to use draft digital. And what draft digital will do is an aggregator, and you can put stuff out, and it will send it out to everybody that you tell them to send it to, and including Amazon. But there's no point in not doing it yourself. You can have a big slice through that for something you can do so easily yourself. They don't take that much, and that's what I used when I was briefly wide. They also have now an agreement with Ingram, and apparently you can go through draft to digital to your print books as well, and do it that way with Ingram. And I don't know when their ISBN philosophy is. They may or may not.
Ingram?
No,
sorry.
For
Draft
ebooks, at least, it's free. I don't know about paperback.
Okay, but I know that it's free. You get Amazon assign the ISBN. If you do your print book through Amazon.
Right.
So that's just some additional information.
Yeah, if you're planning to go wide with ebooks, you can't go wrong using draft to digital. They're very user friendly, and they'll cover. I mean, if there's a market they haven't found to hook up with, it doesn't exist yet.
There was one other thing I wanted
Huge list.
is that my friend who's wide, and she has said that it takes a long time to find your market outside of Amazon. She said it's taken her years to build up her sales to the other venues, but she's really happy now because less than 50% of her income comes from Amazon now, which is significantly. That's a huge deal. Amazon is a big dog.
Yeah.
They operate Kindle at a loss. They do. It's sort of part of Amazon's marketing right now to try and drive other booksellers out of business. So it feels really gross to have to be involved with them, but as indie book publishers, you can't get around it. It sucks. One day I hope to defeat them.
We've only got a couple minutes, and I saw a couple.
Yeah, we are down to. I think we have time for one last. We'll take yours.
Be prepared to eat it a little bit on the sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's painful, but it's necessary, especially if you don't want to feed the dragon.
That is Bezos.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not involved anymore.
I found my in-hand books were cheaper through Kindle than through Ingram.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's because Kindle's Amazon's a shipping company. It's not a.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No.
I was say real quick. Let's start with Mona. Tell us where we can find you online, where we can buy your books.
Yeah.
What
You can follow me at Mona Ventress Author on Instagram. That's probably the best one to do it. I actually promote this. I tell all my fans, if you message me on that platform, I will actually message you back. Whereas on my Facebook, I'm always logged into my actual Facebook, so I never see a message. Poor Hal, actually. I don't know if you guys know Hal. He sent me a request for an interview through the Mona Ventress Facebook, and then I didn't answer him for like a month because I don't check it. And then I'm also, again, Mona Ventress on Facebook, and I'm Mona Ventress on TikTok for those of you who have TikToks. And I have a bunch of really ridiculous TikToks out there. So.
Well, the main thing I've got going right now is Facebook. My author page goes under the title Under Desert Stars. So if you search for that, you'll find me out there. Locally, most of the books carries my paperback versions. If they don't have something in stock since I'm in town, I can fix that, and I'll even arrange to be there and sign it for you if you want to go that route. They have just about everything I've got available in the dealer's room right now. Mostly, I have a website that is still semi under development. I don't have a way of sending you to it right at the moment, unless you picked up one of those little free books that I've got up in the up there at the registration desk, because there's a little refrigerator magnet inside it with a QR code for that website. And if you visit it, leave me a note, some feedback. I'd love to hear what people think of it, since I'm still working it up.
Oh, I forgot to add, you can find me at Bookman's or at Amazon. Both the locations.
Cool. Yeah, Brent Miller Books. I kept it pretty simple. So it's either Brent Miller Books or Brent M Books or underscore, like, but all of my social media accounts are just my name. I use Facebook the most, but honestly, I love talking to people. So if I got an inquiry from any of it, or my email is brentmillerbooks@gmail.com. My website is brentmillerbooks.com. Right? Pretty straightforward. Where you can find my books, their Amazon is just the best place. Unless, like, if you wanted one right now, I have some, and Mostly Books has some, but after this panel I'm going home, so I'm going over there to pick them up. So if you want one, stop me from getting it. But yeah, otherwise, just, I would say Amazon, and if you want to reach me for some reason, um, um, Gmail and Facebook.
You have a website, right?
Yeah, brentmillerbooks.com.
Put links.
They're all on there. Yeah.
Go to Amazon, and all put those links in there. Make it easy.
Yep, they're all on there.
All
so,
my books do that, yeah.
Yeah, all my links to social media accounts and to every book is on there. So.
And you can find me at bethdolgner.com. Feel free to come up and grab a bookmark or a Nightmare postcard. It's got links on there as well for you. And you guys, thank you so much for coming, and have fun the rest of your con.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, panelists. Yay.